Hey everyone, welcome back to Beyond the Fear. I'm your host Zishan, and tonight we're plunging into a haunting tale that might keep you up long after the lights go out. Join me as we follow the harrowing journey of Lieutenant Samuel Reed, a soldier haunted by the dark echoes of war. So brace yourself as we unravel this chilling story together. The darkness had a weight, a palpable presence that pressed against my chest as I stood in the ruined village, a forgotten place where echoes of war lingered like ghosts. My name is Lieutenant Samuel Reed, and I was sent here to scout the area, to assess the remnants of a world ravaged by conflict. Little did I know I was stepping into a nightmare that would haunt me long after I left. The first night was eerie, like stepping into a painting of desolation. We settled in the crumbling remains of a once thriving farmhouse, its walls peeling and the roof sagging under the weight of sorrow. The air was thick with the smell of damp earth and decay, as if the ground itself mourned for those lost. As dusk fell, shadows stretched across the ground, elongating like fingers reaching out for something or someone. Around a flickering lantern, I gathered my men. Sergeant Matthews, our stalwart leader, Medic Harris, whose calm demeanor often masked his inner fears, and a couple of fresh-faced privates, bright-eyed and eager, unaware of the horrors that awaited them. Their expressions reflected a mix of apprehension and bravado, a stark contrast to the grim reality surrounding us. "This place gives me the creeps," muttered Private Daniels, a wiry kid with more bravado than sense. I nodded, keeping my voice steady. "It's just the remnants of war, boys. Focus on the mission." But even as I spoke, a chill ran down my spine, prickling at my skin as though something unseen was watching us. As the night deepened, we huddled close, sharing stories to stave off the encroaching dread. But the laughter faded quickly, replaced by an unsettling stillness. It began softly, the whispers creeping in like a fog, so faint at first that I almost dismissed them. The rustling leaves outside were the only sound until those whispers began to twist through the air, calling my name. "Samuel, Samuel." I glanced at my men, their faces pale in the flickering light. They heard it too. A collective shiver ran through our group as the whispers morphed into anguished cries begging for release. They carried the weight of loss, grief, and betrayal, each sound wrapping around my heart like a vice. On the second day, we began our search for supplies, venturing deeper into the village. The remnants of shattered homes lay scattered, echoes of laughter now replaced by silence. Broken furniture and tattered remnants of family life littered the streets, a haunting reminder of the lives once lived here. As we moved through the streets, a sense of dread coiled tighter in my gut, constricting my breath. That evening, Private Daniels vanished. The last I saw of him was a flicker of curiosity in his eyes as he wandered towards the old church at the village's edge. "I saw him heading towards the old church," one of the privates whispered, fear etched on his face. I cursed under my breath and gathered the remaining soldiers, our hearts racing as we retraced Daniel's last steps. What had happened to him? The church stood at the village's edge, a decaying edifice overtaken by vines and shadows. Its door creaked ominously as we pushed it open, the air inside turning colder, filled with the scent of mildew and something more sinister. Death. The flickering lanterns cast dancing shadows on the stone walls, and the whispers intensified, wrapping around us like a suffocating shroud. Inside, the atmosphere was heavy with despair. The walls bore witness to secrets long buried. We stumbled upon old records, sacrificial rites performed long ago to appease a dark spirit. The villagers had sought protection from the horrors of war, but instead had invited something far worse. I could feel the weight of their desperation in the air, a palpable energy that made my skin crawl. Suddenly, the whispers coalesced into a single commanding voice. "Release us." It beckoned, resonating deep within my core. I stumbled back, colliding with a pew, my heart pounding as visions of my brother flooded my mind. I had lost him to this wretched conflict, and now I felt as if the past was clawing its way back to me. The shadows flickered in the corners of the church, twisting into grotesque shapes. I stood frozen, my breath hitching as I realized the truth. The spirits were not merely restless. They were a reflection of my own anguish. I was not just a soldier, I was a man burdened by grief and guilt, grappling with the death of my brother on the battlefield. Determined, I stepped forward, my voice trembling with fear and resolve. "What do you want from me?" The room grew colder, the air vibrating with energy. The spirits swirled around me, their faces twisted in pain and despair. I could see the faces of those I had lost, friends, brothers in arms, all pleading for release. In that moment, I understood. To free them, I had to sacrifice something dear to me. The choice was agonizing, a knife twisting in my gut. With a heavy heart, I called out to the spirit of my brother, "I release you. Go to peace." The whispers crescendoed into a deafening roar, enveloping me in darkness. I felt a rush of cold air as the shadows surged forward, pulling at my very essence. The walls of the church shuddered, the very ground beneath me seemed to shake with the anger and sorrow of the spirits trapped within. "You are not alone," the voices whispered as I fought against the encroaching void. Their anguish was now my burden, and I could feel the weight of their stories crashing down upon me. In the eye of the storm, I faced the spirit manifesting before me, an amalgamation of the lost souls, twisted in rage and sorrow. I saw my brother's face among them, a haunting reminder of my failure to protect him. In that moment, my grief transformed into something powerful. I raised my arms, feeling a warmth spread through me. "I'm sorry. I couldn't save you," I cried, tears streaming down my face. The shadows hesitated, a flicker of recognition sparking within their ethereal forms. With one final desperate plea, I shouted, "I will remember you all. I will not let your stories fade." The darkness suddenly gave way to blinding light. The souls of the lost began to rise, freed at last from their earthly bonds. As the last echoes of their voices faded, I collapsed to the ground, gasping for breath. The church felt lighter, the air no longer thick with despair. I had set them free, but at a cost. The darkness had touched my soul, leaving me forever changed. I emerged from the church, blinking against the morning light. The village, though still scarred by war, felt different, less haunted, as if the spirits had finally found peace. My men gathered around me, shaken but alive. We had faced the darkness together and emerged with our lives. But I knew that the memory of that night would linger, a whisper in my mind. "What happened in there, Lieutenant?" one of the privates asked, eyes wide with curiosity and fear. I turned away, knowing that some stories are too dark to tell. Instead, I whispered to the wind. I heard them whisper, "They are finally at peace." As I write this, I can still hear the echoes of their voices, a reminder of the forgotten souls of war and the price of sacrifice. The whispers may fade, but their stories will forever haunt the corners of my mind, a chilling testament to the horrors we face in the dark. And that was Lieutenant Reed's spine-chilling encounter with the malevolent forces lurking in the shadows. Just when he thought he had escaped the horrors of the battlefield, he discovered that some nightmares cling to the soul, haunting us relentlessly. If this story sent chills crawling up your spine, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you can join me next time as we venture even deeper into the abyss beyond the fear. Until then, keep your eyes peeled and your heart racing. Because in the dark you never know who or what might be watching you.